you see what's going on here? God, who stands before Moses on the rock, is standing in the witness box. He is the accused. He's the defendant. And he says, I'll stand before them. They can call out and see what they can come up with to accuse me of not having provided for them. When Moses struck the Nile with his staff, it was God's visible form of judgment against Egypt. He now calls judgment upon the people. And he has him strike the rock, and water gushes forth. Where in the world would you look for water if you were in the desert? Would you be on your hands and knees looking at a rock trying to find it? I guarantee that is not a place any one of us would ever look for water. But God says, okay, you don't get it? Let me show you one more time that I am here. You are my chosen people. You didn't choose me, I chose you. I will provide for every single need in your life, but you must make sure that I am at the center. The people drink, they're watered, they feel better, and for a little while again, once again, all is good. They follow the Lord. He's in charge, He's taking care of us. Until the next incident comes up, and again, they still don't get it. Well, how about us? How different are we really today? What do we really thirst for? I think Sheila talked a little bit about it in her monologue. In fact, I think she nailed it pretty well on a couple of accounts. When she talked about that little girl, when she said how that little girl was completely content if she knew that she was loved. If she knew that she could lie down in peace. If she could go to bed having food on her stomach, something to drink, knowing that Christ was in her heart, there was nothing more important to her in her life. You see, she's got it. She's got it figured out. But what about us? What do we thirst for here today? In 2008, here in the United States of America. I think we thirst after money. We thirst after the big home, more cars, more toys. It's like the bumper sticker says, "He who dies with the most toys wins." We want to have everything. We want it now. It's got to be new. It's got to be big. It's got to be fast. God at the center in that? I don't think so. You know what's interesting? Moses named that place Massa and Meribah. Okay? I split it up a little bit up here. All right? You see why? In Hebrew, when the people grumbled at Moses, the Hebrew word for that is rib, R-I-B. Okay? It means to plead one's case in a court of law. It was a trial. Don't think I was kidding about that. Everything about what took place between the people, the nation of Israel, and Moses was a trial. When they didn't get what they wanted, they put God on trial. God's hand of judgment came down. He still provided for him, but his hand of judgment still came down. Massa. I think of it as the masses coming before God and complaining. Meribah, me. I'm complaining. I don't have enough. Listen to me, God. I want to plead my case. I need more. Why don't you listen to me, God? Why aren't you providing for me? I know what I need. Why can't you figure it out? Me, Reb. You know, this whole week, there hasn't been any one of us, and I mentioned that in my prayers, that doesn't know that we have a huge, tremendously dangerous situation with our economy going on. I didn't plan this message for this week knowing that that was coming. This was chosen at the beginning of the month, before any of this stuff was coming out in the press or the media, that we were going to have problems like this. You think God doesn't know that stuff's happening? I think he's saying, wake up. I know what's going on, but you're falling into the same trap of the nation of Israel. It's greed that's put us where we're at. When is enough enough? When is me no longer going to be the center? When is God going to be what we thirst for? When is God going to be what quenches our thirst? How far down do we need to go? What does God need to do to get yours and my attention? We are tremendously blessed. We have been blessed more than any other country in the nation, in the history of the world. And it's still not enough for us. We need more. No. We need God. I am as guilty as anybody else here in this sanctuary of wanting more. We need to change the way we think and the way we live our lives. We must put God at the center. We must learn to change our attitude and thinking to where we thirst first for God. First for God. And leave all the other details to Him. He will provide. You think, well, but we have all these trials, we have different things happening in our life. Do you ever notice, if you read the study or the story of the nation of Israel, that when they wandered through the desert, God never left them in one place for very long? Do you wonder why that is? You know why? Because as people, we become complacent when we sit in one place too long. It's way too easy for us to forget about who God is. If He keeps us constantly on the move, if He keeps problems coming along, if He allows those things to come along, we will constantly turn to Him. We will keep Him at the center. It was no mistake that God kept the people moving constantly. But just like the nation of Israel, we're seeking help today, aren't we? I mean, we're expecting our government to step in, human beings to step in and bail us out of a terrible, terrible problem that we face today. But how many of us are seeking first God's intervention in this problem? How many of us have been on our knees and praying that God would intervene and that God would change the hearts and minds of the people and that He would protect us no matter what happens? Because if God is not at the center, it doesn't matter what mankind does, it will fail.